We figured that out already.
Are we starting?
Yeah, we're ready when you are.
Okay. It's 5:32. I'll start the meeting. Town of Bowling Springs, January 26th Planning Board meeting. First thing on the agenda is to allow time for the public to provide comment if they're here, and seeing none, I'll move on to the next item, which is the minutes from the October meeting. And do we have a quorum? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. How many members do we have?
We have 7, so we do.
So we're good. We can vote. All right. So minutes from October. If everybody's had a chance to review those.
Motion to be approved.
Motion to approve. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Oh, do we have to vote? You don't have it up?
You don't. We'll just do it by voice tonight.
Old school.
Yeah.
All right. So that motion passes. Next item, I think, is the only reason we're here, or is the main item on the agenda, land use plan. And no, I believe staff has some proposals for us to review, and what you're looking for us tonight is comments to deliver back to the town council. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes,
Okay.
sir. So I'm kind of standing in for the manager tonight in his absence. So we've solicited proposals from different planning companies and organizations for our new comprehensive land use plan to kind of help us go forward in development and zoning regulations and any rezonings that come before you all. So the current plan was adopted in 2009, and the state recommends updating that every 10 years. So we're past that point. The 3 firms that solicited or sent their proposals to us was Benchmark Planning, C.J. Stone, and Kimberly Horn. Staff, as well as planning board members and some council members, used a review sheet to score each firm. Benchmark scored 94 out of 100, C.J. Stone 89, and Kimberly Horn at 78. So we've also asked several other jurisdictions of their experience with each firm, and they were satisfied with the experience that they had with each of the firm. Each firm's going to kind of be similar in their approach. They'll gather data from the town, look at our current plans, gather feedback from the community through surveys and community meetings, as well as staff meetings, and then they'll put together a comprehensive plan of zoning and any changes they think we need for our other land use regulations in town. So the main difference, like David was saying, is going to be cost. They're about the same in cost, around $50,000 to $60,000, but some are a little more expensive. A Benchmark Planning, they have a year turnaround time. They did our current land use plan. The county utilized them for their new land use plan in 2021. Kimberly Horn has the highest cost, and they have a 10-month turnaround. And C.J. Stone has a 9-month turnaround with an option of adding a park master plan. So kind of the idea at the same time of the land use plan, we'd like to do a park master plan to gain the community's feedback on what amenities they like to see going forward in the town park. So that's basically all we have. Just looking for y'all's input, which firm you'd like for town council to consider.
Since Benchmark scored the highest, do they also help with master planning?
They do. So C.J. Stone offered that in their initial proposal as an option for us to do, and then we asked the other 2 firms, and the other firms were willing to do that as well.
So it's not like you got to go back out and rebuild. It sounds like they're comfortable. They already have some data from
Right.
doing it in 2009.
Right. And I think it would kind of help them do them at the same time, because they're gathering the data from the community. So it's kind of easy for them to say, here's the land use piece, here's the park plan. So it's kind of easy doing all together.
For Kimberly Horn, and I skimmed all this, but I didn't read word for word, so I feel like I should state that up front. But for Kimley Horn, did they include the park plan as part of the current cost or as an add-on? I know they gave a sample, and I know CSJ gave a sample
Each firm, that would be an add-on cost.
add-on.
Is,
Wait, Chris.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, how time sensitive is it?
It's not. I mean, the state recommends 10 years, but it's no hard statute that you've got to have it.
As far as getting it turned around, does the staff feel like there's a time crunch?
There's
Is
not.
9 months better than 12 months?
Not necessarily. No, I mean, certainly, the quicker the better, I guess, in the big scheme of things, but definitely, you could look at it the opposite way. Are they taking more time to do it and it's a better result versus a quicker turnaround? But,
Yeah, I think quality of the products,
right, the quality matters over time.
you're talking months.
Is
As
that,
long as they're, like, I think what you're alluding to, as long as there's not like a statutory requirement.
Or the town's anxious
No.
to get this going because we got to get this so we can get the next piece.
Yeah.
And as long as it's, then,
So maybe turnaround's not
Right, we're comfortable.
a priority
right.
of a factor.
so is our role to pick one out of these three and send it to, as our recommendation to council, or are we just sort of summarizing?
So staff wanting
It would be, so we would want
Recommendation.
one recommendation, and then we would take that.
I'm torn.
so pick one.
So who'd the county go with again?
They went with
Benchmark.
Benchmark.
Yeah,
Well, I don't mind sharing my thoughts if this is the right time.
go ahead.
I kind of looked at these, and for my job outside of this, which was one of the reasons I was really interested in being part of this, I do a lot of work across the country with what we call active transportation, where, you prioritize people over cars, build for people, helps the economy, it's healthier, everybody's movable, businesses patronize restaurants, local business, you name it. So that's always the angle that I like, and what stuck out to me about, what is it, CJ Stone?
Cold Nest.
Yeah, Colgan Nest. I really like that they have a focus on bike ped planning, that they incorporate that into a lot of the plans that they do that might not be standard bike ped plans. And I sort of do this through the lens of a cyclist and runner too. So that grabbed me a lot, because I do this around the country, and I see the benefits in other towns that are similarly sized and structured like this one. So I love that. I like that you have the addition for add-ons. Now for Benchmark, I can make a case for them too. I think for me, they're probably running a close second, and I wouldn't hold up any voting if that's what you guys chose. But I think there's an advantage to them doing the county plan. They have done the land use plan, but then on this flip side, I think there's also an advantage to somebody new, So I don't know. I was less kind of enamored with Kimley Horn, mainly because they provided a price range and not an actual number. And I kind of spent some time Googling them. I work with some planning firms. They're more national, Alta and Tool Design. So it was fun for me to kind of read this and learn some different stuff. But I'm torn between Benchmark and, see whatever it is.
The Colgan Nest, didn't they do, I was part of a downtown master plan or
Right, they
something.
did that for us.
Yeah.
So they have had some
So they've got
experience
some
with us.
experience
Yeah.
here too.
And we've already got, in the downtown master plan, there's a big part of it was about the bike ped component. Right.
They had the EV stations in there.
Yeah. And I imagine whoever gets chosen to do this land use plan for the whole town and ETJ, that would just be that component, or that master plan would just be incorporated into it. I'm sure they would review to make sure that the priorities in that master plan were still the priorities today, but it's not but a couple years old. So.
And I like that they provided a sample park plan they worked on. I noticed Kimley Horn did too. I like the parks and people, like placemaking component that goes with, I think that can tie into all these different plans, obviously. So I don't know, curiosity, it doesn't seem, so parks planning, maybe not part of, you said their Benchmark's more known for land use stuff, or have you seen parks plans they've done?
I don't know, what was their response?
It wasn't as thorough as the other two. I mean, they definitely said they had the capability to do it, but I think their focus is more on the planning side.
The Coles and Nest did a good job.
They
on
did.
The presentations and what we saw before, and it looks like they'd have a little bit of a head start.
Yeah.
Already, because they did a lot of work.
I think this is my order.
Benchmark did the 160D statutory changes, or the code changes. So they've been here recently for that. And they did the land use plan for the town back in '99, or,
That's right.
but that's, you know, a number of years ago.
There's basically about $150 that separates
Yeah.
Benchmark and
Yeah.
Coles and Nest,
So it
but
sounds like time is not, for me, time's not a factor, and, or
Yeah.
turnaround's not a factor, and cost doesn't seem to be a factor.
Right.
Unless the town, unless $150 bothers the town.
It doesn't. We've already budgeted for it, so we're good either way.
It's just more about the,
That's gonna be my next
The
question.
product.
Yeah, the next question, well, the question would be the product. The next question I would have is being able to, if you've already worked with Coles and S,
Yeah.
you know, at what point are you gonna try to merge these visions together?
Right.
You know, if you bring Benchmark in, now you've got to figure out, okay, how are we gonna lay this?
Kind of wasted money.
Yeah, that's my take on it, and it's not for me to worry about.
as far as the, like, the master plan, the
Yeah.
downtown plan.
Well, you got the downtown master plan, now we got the land use, and all those things will overlap at some point.
Yeah.
So how many different visions do you want in this whole mixture? Because the next piece will be a campus, I mean, not campus-wide, but a community-wide town master plan. Is that parks plan? You guys, so at some point, you gotta start thinking, who's gonna be the visionary and who's gonna be our partner to draw it and map it?
I would say too, like I know there's, and I don't know if this town's eligible, but I know there's a ton of DOT and infrastructure funding that's coming out. And a lot of them are, and I just know this from my role in helping write some of those grants, but a lot of them are earmarked for areas like this that are rural. You can make the case about education, income. We fit a lot of the categories that they're interested in bettering. But we're also very appealing because we're a university town. This is the city and the county that people want to live in this county. I think people are coming here. I could probably put my house for sale and it'd be gone.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so I guess part of my thing is I think that's important. And I also think thinking about those future funding pots that can fund some of the stuff, some of the built design stuff, some of the infrastructure stuff, if we're eligible for that, does having all these different pieces that I think are all related, and we all kind of feel that way, but there's like 4 or 5 different things, does that put us
I think it helps you score higher, yeah.
yeah, like, and that's the thing that, I always think, okay, how can we land that $12 million project?
More updated
Right,
vision, then you can score higher on
Right.
applying for grants. Between Coles and Nest and Benchmark, can you describe their public input process? Because to me, when you're creating these long-range community plans, you're really wanting to pull from that input from your community.
Well, and having been involved in that, I thought they did a great job.
Who?
Coles and
Coles and
Nest.
Oh, with the downtown master
Yeah.
plan.
They had us in here, they had groups of us in, we met with them several times.
Circle the areas that you want to see a
Oh, yeah.
crosswalk.
did they have
Put
a
a dot on what you like.
variety of races and ages? So like, we'll do charrettes sometimes throughout the country, and we'll bring youth in, You know, the way they see something is different than the way an older person sees, but we'll bring elderly in. So I just wonder, like, do they get a good cross-section?
They tried, I think, but, you know,
Yeah.
getting people here is a challenge.
Well, that's stuff we can help with too.
Yeah, we can. And we, you
Yeah,
know,
I think the consultant can only do so much. I think a lot of that's probably
Yeah,
yeah.
our role,
pretty good.
advertising
Seats.
and marketing.
But I was impressed with their
Yeah.
presentations and stuff, so they did a good job.
But Cole Janess scored the lowest. No, Kimberly Horn did.
They were in the middle, CJ Stone was. So I think both CJ Stone and Benchmark, they lay out kind of the community assessment piece, stakeholder meetings, so they would come at town hall several times and have a public input meeting for citizens. They would also have virtual options of like a survey. So they would kind of gather several different pieces of information to bring that together, as well as stakeholder meetings like with staff, like with y'all, like with council. So I think both are very kind of similar in their aspect of that. So I'm sure both of them do a good job. And I know from when we did the county's plan, Benchmark did a website specifically for the land use plan that people could go to fill out that survey and get up-to-date information where the process was.
Yeah, and on that website, you could see what the topics of the last meeting were, and they provide notes of what was commented on at the last meeting, and then and I'm just saying this because I imagine whoever gets hired will probably have something similar, but then they also provided an agenda for the next meeting. Did both Cole Janess and Benchmark say or offer those type of advertising tools like the website and?
They did. Yeah, both said they were going to hit hard with advertising and letting the community know and putting that out there to everyone.
Somebody throw a dart.
I mean, I have my preference, but I'm okay with my top two, I guess, out of my three. So I like Cole Janess first. I think some of the scoring to me is a little bit subjective, and the numbers were so close that I think, you know, when I was kind of reading through this, I tried to really pay attention to it because to me they seem very, very good. The thing that appeals to me about Cole Janess is some of the emphasis on the park stuff and the sample plan that they provided.
You think that's what kind of puts them a little bit over the top?
I think
you?
for me it does that and the bike ped stuff. But that's always going to sway me no matter what. So for future meetings, but I do think for me it kind of, the parks piece kind of edged them out a little bit, just because Benchmark didn't provide sample plan. You know, Kimberly Horn provided a nice plan too. It was a lot. But it was very well done. You know, I would have liked to have seen one from Benchmark. I don't doubt they can do it. I'd have confidence in them if that's who, you know, we went with. But it was nice to see an example, I guess.
But it sounds like Benchmark concentrates more in land use,
They do.
not. And again, we're talking land use. This is what they were
Right.
tasked to do.
Yeah.
But when you take a step back and start looking at it from a holistic standpoint, what's next? You know, land use is important. If you don't know what's next, how do you figure land use?
Yeah.
You know, and it's different with the county because there's no way y'all ever know what's going on all over Cleveland County. But here in a town, you got your pulse. You kind of know what's in the queue, what's coming. I'm kind of with Karma. Cole Janess, if there's only $150 difference, I hope that won't break the town.
No, it won't.
Yeah, they've
If it
already
does,
got,
pass
got some history with us
Well, they both do too, and
Yeah.
that's the nice part, but
Yeah, to me, it comes down to who can provide the,
What was
Best
Coach and Ness
product.
turnaround?
10 months.
They were in the middle on that too.
They were.
was the Parks and Rec component, do you think both of them could do it in-house? Or would they be subbing that out?
I know CJ Stone could do it in-house. Benchmark didn't say.
So I make a motion, we recommend Coach and Ness.
Have a motion?
I
Second.
Second.
Third.
All in favor?
You got all them notes, Noah?
I do.
You tell them that we discussed thoroughly. A lot of good comments. I appreciate it, y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't think we would have went wrong. I think all three of them would have been able to provide.
No, that's what I said. With
I
our
think you're
camp,
right,
man, we
you
could
throw
have
a
picked
dart.
any three of the ones we had.
Yep. Anything else on the agenda, Noah?
Now, anything else y'all have to report or?
Can you help stop the rain?
Yeah.
Be nice.
I think it's gonna stop tonight, maybe.
Yeah, I went home at lunchtime, let my dog out of the garage, and because didn't think it was supposed to rain this afternoon, but
Hey, at one point the sun was about ready to pop out.
Yeah. And then it poured on me on the way over here.
yeah, me too.
All right, I got supper on the table.
All right.
There's on the stove, it's gonna be on the table. That's all we need.
Is that it?
It is.
You good?
Very good.
All right.
Y'all waiting on me, huh?
Good meeting.